Found this Sum 41 playlist, and it's actually really good. Lots of oldies if anyone is interested. If you like the alternative rock from the earlier 2000s, some Smash Mouth on there, Bowling for Soup, Sum 41, stuff like that. So, pretty good playlist. And it's a Sum 41 Fat Lip. It only has 2 followers, but I'll say it's pretty good.
What's up, guys? I first off want to apologize because my nose is super stuffy. I've been sick since Thanksgiving, and it is now Sunday. So I sound like crap, and I apologize, but I did want to get this video up for you guys, so I am doing the commentary now. So I do start off all my workouts by foam rolling, mostly because I do have back pain issues that I've been working with, so I always want to make sure I foam roll my back to avoid creating more pain during my workout. This really helps stretch it out and relieve any pain if I am feeling any. And then again, you want to do hamstrings as well, because your hamstrings really will affect how your back is feeling too. Alright guys, so the first exercise I'm going to show you today is going to be squats. So I started out with a warm-up set, and then I worked into my working sets, which were 6 sets of 10, and I used 95 pounds for all my working sets. So I kept it pretty light to ensure that my form and my depth were right where they needed to be, because it's really hard to have a really heavy weight and do volume at the same time. Obviously you want to do more weight as you improve, but I suggest starting at lighter weights when you do volume, because you don't want to mess up your back. You want to make sure your form is good, because you are doing too heavy of a weight if you cannot have good form at the same time. So I did low bar squats with a wide stance. So I had the bar nestled into my shoulder blades rather than sitting on my traps. And then I had my feet slightly wider apart than you would in a normal high bar squat. So feet are slightly outside of your shoulder width and toes are pointed slightly outwards. And you want to focus on the first movement of your squat being kicking your butt back and then slightly bending your knees and acting like you're sitting down into a chair. So you don't want your knees out in front of your toes. If your form is good and you are doing a proper low bar squat, your knees will not be going out in front of your toes. Like I said, you should be acting like you're sitting down into a chair when you do these. So if you need to, you can start out with a small stool behind you just to make sure you're acting like you're sitting down, and then slowly as you get comfortable doing squats, remove that from behind you, and you just really have to work on your form a lot to do squats correctly and really work your glutes. I do prefer wide stance to work my glutes, because when you are down in the bottom or the hole of the squat, you are going to use your glutes to squeeze and push yourself back up, and you want to squeeze your glutes at the top of the squats as well. So I hope that helped you out. And like I said, wide stance is my favorite to work your glutes. If you're doing a close stance squat, that's more going to work your quads, so just focus on whether you want to be working your quads or your hamstrings and your glutes when you choose how you're going to do your squats that day. So the second exercise that you are going to see is the side leg press. So you don't want to be completely on your side, you're more going to be at an angle, and you will have a single leg up on the actual leg press, and you're going to have your toe pointed up at an angle. You don't want to have it pointed all the way straight forward towards the ceiling, and you also don't want to have it parallel to the floor. So just at an angle. You can kind of see it better in this view, but these will focus on your glutes and hamstrings, and I personally cannot put any additional weight on the leg press, so do not feel in any way less than others or not strong on these because you can't stack a ton of weight on them. You do want to concentrate on form and make sure you're pushing through your glutes and through your hamstrings and push through your heel. Notice my toe is coming up at the top on most of these because I'm really focusing on pushing up with my heel and that activates my glutes and hamstrings more than pushing on my toe. I hope that also makes sense. Usually for glute exercises, you want to focus on pushing through your heel. I know that's not true for everyone, but it's definitely most true for me, and I know it will help some of you. So if you feel like you're not activating your glutes on glute exercises, push through your heels rather than through your entire foot, and you might feel it a little bit better that way, and I hope that helps. Third exercise is going to be side box step-ups. I did use a lower box because I wanted to not hurt myself and I wanted to do more volume. Similar to how I used less weight on squats so I could do more volume, I used a lower box so I could do bigger sets rather than sets of like 5. So on these, you notice there's kind of a pause when I have one foot on the top and one foot on the floor, and that is because I'm making sure I'm not using the foot on the floor to push myself up. I'm using the foot on the box to push up. So you want to pull yourself up through the foot that's resting on the box, so that way you're using your glutes and your hamstrings rather than using the foot on the floor, because that will probably activate your quads more. So notice, like I said, there's a pause. So you want to pause for a second and then really push through your heel on top of the box, and that should help you out in feeling it in your glutes and hamstrings. And these really burn, so I did 10 on each leg, so I did sets of 20. So these were kind of like cardio for me. I hope you like these out and you really feel them in your glutes. If you're not really feeling them, definitely try a higher box, but the pause is what really helps for me, so also keep that in mind. Alrighty guys, so third exercise you are going to see is a straight leg deadlift variation. So as you can see, I have two 10-pound plates under the front of my feet. This, adding on to the theme from the last two exercises, really puts an emphasis on putting the weight through your heel, especially on deadlifts. You want to feel like you're leaning back rather than leaning forward. You never want to have your weight on your toes when you're doing a deadlift movement. You want to keep it in the back of your feet, and this will really help you feel it in your hamstrings and through your glutes as well. These I prefer as a hamstring movement rather than a glute movement. I know some people really love these for glutes. I prefer them for hamstrings, but to activate your glutes at the top, you want to squeeze at the top and have a slight pause. So you probably heard this by like 10 different people, but your glutes should look ugly during your glute workout. If you are not squeezing your glutes, then you're really not activating them. So make sure you're squeezing them at the top of every rep, and that is how you will see progress. So that's another thing. If you're not feeling like you're activating your glutes during your workout, ask yourself if you're really squeezing your glutes at the top of every rep, and if you're completing the full movement and doing it correctly. So this is just a variation of straight leg deadlifts. There's a ton of different kinds you can do with these. I just like to use a kettlebell every once in a while to kind of switch things up and do something different. Alright, so fourth exercise today is going to be a cable deadlift with bands. So these I actually learned from Katie Hearn when I was doing one of her challenges, and I really love these for glutes and hamstrings. So you want to make sure that you're keeping your back straight as in normal deadlifts, and you don't want to be looking up at the ceiling. You want to try to keep a more neutral head position. I did not quite do that in all of these, but it is definitely more beneficial for your back to keep a straight and neutral back position. So you're going to take a few steps back, lean down, and then when you're all the way down at the bottom, you want to use your glutes to push your hips forward and perform the deadlift motion. And the bands will really help you work the outer glutes because it's going to make you work to keep your knees out because you don't want your knees caving in. You want to keep your knees in a neutral position and be kind of pushing them out. So this will work the middle of your glutes and also the outside of them because you have the band on them that you're working against. These are a favorite, and I definitely suggest going as heavy as you can on these without hurting your back, of course. So try these out if you have not before. I really love them. You can also use a straight bar instead of the close grip attachment if you want to, but I prefer the close grip attachment. So next exercise, we are going to keep the same attachment in the same band, but you're only going to take a step or two back, and you are going to perform squats. So it is kind of hard to get that cable attachment up to your chest, so you can't go super heavy because you have to make sure that you can get the weight up to where you need it to be. So these, you're just going to perform normal squats. You want to make sure you're hitting depth, so you're really working your glutes. Like I said before, if you're not hitting depth, you're not fully working your glutes. So you're going to drop down, make sure you're keeping your knees out wide or in a neutral position. You don't want your knees caving inward. So again, you're working the outer glutes because you have the band that you're working against, and then you're working the center part of your butt because you have to squeeze your glutes to get back up. And notice you should still be squeezing your glutes at the top of every rep. I also did sets of 10 on these, and I really love them, and again, focus on keeping a straight back. And here is one of my favorite glute workouts. It is the hip or glute thrust. I personally prefer not to use weight and use a band for these because the banded, for me, I have more benefits from using that than using the barbell and putting weight on it. That is just completely personal preference. I know some people love weighted glute thrusts. I prefer to do these more often than the other. So you want to make sure your knees are out wide, and at the bottom you are using your glutes and tightening them to push yourself back up, and again pushing your hips up using your glutes rather than your back or your legs or anything. And I again am pushing through my heel to make sure I'm activating my glutes and not putting all the weight on my toes. While I do usually love to not use machines, I will use this machine from time to time. This is the glute kickback machine, and I have to really adjust my foot placement to get the benefits from this machine, or I really don't feel anything. So I have to put my foot pretty high up on the bottom piece of the equipment, and as you can see, I have my toe up on the little, I don't know what that's called, what you slide your foot under usually. I prefer to put my toe up on that, so again, I'm pushing through my heel and not my toes, and that is how I feel it in my glutes. So if you prefer to not use the cables every time to do cable kickbacks, this is a substitute. I will always prefer the cable kickbacks to the machine kickbacks, but it is a nice change if you just want to switch things up and not do the same thing in all of your workouts. Alright, I just want to point out first of all that my form is not perfect on these, but I am working on it, but I could feel it the entire time. So for these, they're just like glute ham roll-ins. So you're going to lay on your back and put your arms straight out to help keep your balance. And you'll rest your heels on the ball. This one is kind of flat, so I would definitely recommend using a more inflated ball rather than inflated one. And you want to use your hamstrings and your glutes to really pull the ball in, and you want to keep your glutes in a pretty steady spot. You don't want to be moving all over the place, but this will really burn your glutes and hamstrings if you're doing it right. Again, you have to adjust your foot placement to find what works best for you. I do have a few more quick exercises for you. These are easy ones that you can do at home or at the very end of your workout as a burnout. These are really great to really feel in your glutes, and you can actually do these as a warm-up too. So these are all exercises that can work on glute activation at the beginning of your workout, or just really burning out your glutes at the end of your workout. So these are just bodyweight squats that I'm doing with a knee place, or a band placed just above my knees, and I did about sets of 20 of these. These are really great to just get in some extra squats, work on your form if you are not comfortable doing weighted squats yet, and if you have trouble keeping your knees out wide or in a neutral spot during squats and you usually bring them in, these are a workout that can actually help with that, because it really makes you focus on keeping your knees in a wider position, and it burns the outer glutes as well. So it is overall a very beneficial workout, and I highly suggest doing these if you do not now. You can actually use the band with weighted squats as well. That works out really great too. Again, this is another workout that is easy to do at home, or is a great burnout at the end of your glute workouts. Sometimes the bands like to move around, which is really annoying, but as you can see, I struggle with that too. You just have to fix it and keep going. So I just put the band right above my knees, and I do kickbacks. Again, this is another substitute to the cable kickbacks or the machine kickbacks. Once again, I will prefer the cable kickbacks, but this is a really good burnout, or if you're at home, it's a nice exercise that you can do pretty easily. You can use bands, you cannot use bands, it's up to you, but it's a good glute workout as well. Alright, and this is the last workout I have for you guys today. It is just fire hydrants. So you're just going to take your hip and abduct it to the outside. So this works on the outer glute and really puts tension on there. And I love these. You can also do these at home or at the gym, but they're a really good finisher or a really good warm-up for glute day as well. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this installment of the Operation Glute series. There will definitely be more to come. So thank you guys so much for watching, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Comment if there's any exercises you want to see, or if you do want to see the different squat variations video, I will throw that up here too. So subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. I hope you guys all have a great day, and thank you for watching.